Imagine if Australia's finest winemakers sold their product as clean skins. In a way, it's what many Australian wool growers are doing, selling some of the world's best fibre at auction when the real value is further down the supply chain. But it's starting to change, and value adding in the wool industry offers a template to other primary producers who can take their products directly to the world. Sean Murphy reports.
They call this techno grazing. Twice a week, small mobs of sheep are moved into 2.5 hectare laneways, bordered with temporary electric fencing. Gostwick is 6,500 hectares of prime grazing land in the New England region of New South Wales near Uralla, but only 2% of the farm will be grazed on any given day.
Well, it gives the pastures a long rest. We're also not taking them down to sort of pasture levels below around 1,500 kilos of dry matter, and that just allows maximum regrowth, so we can actually capture as much sunlight and utilise what moisture we do have. Pip around, come around.
Farm manager Dan Baker has been able to increase stocking levels by 40%, and the constant rotation of techno grazing has also had positive health impacts for the farm's 16,000 merino sheep. Blowflies and worms are no longer serious problems.
Sit. After about 4 days, worms generally tend to hatch, and sheep can actually pick those up. So by booming them every 3.5 days, we're actually not picking up any infective larvae. And by coming back up to 90 days, that infective larvae that is on the pasture has died. So we're worm control, we're only down to two drenches a year.
The attention to detail in the paddock at Gostwick is paying handsome dividends in the shearing shed too. Techno grazing is helping to deliver a wool clip with stronger tensile strength, and it's also earning a market premium for non-mulesed wool. In 2005 they stopped mulesing, the surgical removal of skin folds from the breech of sheep to prevent fly strike.
I could see that the resistance to the mulesing issue was going to grow, and we could spend hundreds of millions of dollars in telling people why it's so important to mule sheep, but you show one bit of video which will cost them next to nothing, and all that goodwill will disappear in about 5 seconds flat. It's very difficult to defend it.
Philip Attard left a career in information technology in Sydney to run Gostwick. After more than 180 years of breeding for the finest quality merino wool, he shifted the emphasis to total comfort. Every fleece at Gostwick is recorded electronically and individually measured. Laser technology is used to record fibre width, and any fleece over 17.3 microns is excluded from the Gostwick Merino brand and sold at auction. The wool kept as Gostwick Merino is in big demand for high fashion knitwear brands such as Esprit, or ends up in the fabric sold to the world's finest suiting brands such as Savile Row.
All it is about Gostwick Merino is total comfort, and we need to make sure that the quality that we provide at every level is going to be the right micron. So we take everything outside of 17.3 and sell it at auction, and then we have 3 classifications. Below 14.5, which we call the ultimate, 14.6 to 15.5 micron, which is our ultra fine, and then 15.6 to 17.3, which we call super fine.
Gostwick has been in Philip Attard's wife Alison's family for more than 180 years.
It is remarkable that it's been handed down from one generation to the next, and we're lucky enough to be the 5th generation here, and with any luck my sons will be the 6th generation here. This is my great-great-grandparents, Henry Danger and Grace Danger. Henry came out from Cornwall to be a surveyor initially, and surveyed through the Hunter Valley and up towards the New England.
So they started the property here in 1832?
It was 1834 when Henry actually took over the property. It had been owned by a man called Edward Gostwick Corey, hence the name Gostwick.
Oh, been over your head.
Last year, the Attards launched Henry and Grace, a range of machine-washable, total comfort baby wear using their ultra-fine wool.
It's been great. The stuff that we've sold in Australia and also in Europe, the reactions have been exceptionally good. It's ideal fibre and perfectly suited for the most sensitive skins like babies.
It may be the perfect fabric for baby wear, but even ultrafine wool can contain coarse fibres. Philip Attard says there are no second chances in this highly competitive market. His garments are manufactured in China and Hong Kong, and the company is using the best technology available to ensure only the softest fabric is used. So even a garment that feels beautifully soft to touch could have prickles in it.
It's impossible to detect prickle with your hands. Even the most sophisticated shopper will feel something, find that it's beautiful in their hands, but take it home and get very disappointed when it prickles. So there are real dangers for the consumer in not knowing what the prickle factor is or the comfort factor is in a garment like this.
The Sheep Cooperative Research Centre spent 12 years developing the comfort meter, and it's now being used by leading brands and manufacturers in Europe, China and Australia.
You just slide it onto the test bed like that, make sure that it's smoothly over it, and then you click the arm. And what happens is the arm moves across the fabric with that guitar string just above the surface of the fabric. Any fibres that are sticking out with sufficient strength that you'd get a prickle out of it show as a spike on the recording. It comes as a sound wave which is then amplified and recorded. So the score that you see is actually a count of the number of fibres that may cause that prickle sensation in that described area.
A score of 100 or less is considered top shelf. But even with this sort of quality assurance, Philip Attard says nothing beats face-to-face contact.
You have to be prepared to jump on a plane and go to the places where you need to show your product and explain what it is that you're doing. You know, people don't know, and unless you tell them, they'll remain ignorant about the improvements that we've made here with the Australian Merino.
He's now running the global business from home, but Gostwick's patchy internet connectivity has been a challenge.
It's improved a little bit since the Sky Master, but the speed and the amount of data that you need needs to improve. We're hoping that the amount of data will improve again, but we need to be able to get through into 100 megabit lines here in order to do those things comfortably and efficiently. Otherwise, you have to have an office in town, and I want to avoid that. The other thing is, we want to stay regional. We want to bring the jobs into the region, not go down into the cities, because that's where the skills are. Those skill sets are really important for any business, but we need to develop them here and keep them here and show them there's a better way of life in regional Australia.
At the University of New England in Armidale, a smart region incubator is aiming to build the skills base for regional businesses to go global in the online world.
We're here at Augmentation today. It's our inaugural event. We've got a team from Cisco. They've come up from Sydney, from Cisco Technical. They've brought up a group of engineers and some mentors in wireless and coding. We're mixing that up with high school students, University of New England students and local producers.
We're up here at the Smart Farm working with UNE, partnering really. We took some feedback a while back about getting big business out of the cities, coming out to a location and working with real people with real problems and bringing real solutions.
As the agricultural producer, you don't have to have all of that knowledge. You bring that specialist expertise in, and I think that's what's exciting for the employment opportunities of our graduates too.
The head of UNE's business school, Alison Sheridan, says it's an exciting time for regional businesses to take their produce direct to the world.
What I value about this is that it's offering new business opportunities for our regional economies. So we tap into an international market, and there along the value chain we connect with so many different dimensions of the economy.
5 generations of Philip Bell's family have lived at Greendale near Goulburn in New South Wales. They background cattle and run fat lambs, but it took the birth of his son Charlie to inspire an idea to take to the world.
Being a newborn baby in this climate, I kept struggling to find something warm for him, and my mother suggested that I try my great-grandmother's blanket, and then also standing on the deck and looking out, and Philip was driving 1,000 head of sheep up our landway, and I thought, I really need to do something with sheep. I'm surrounded by them. It makes sense to do something in the wool business.
That business is hand-knitted baby blankets, like the one created by her great-grandmother Sarah Jane Bond in 1940.
So we set about finding the wool, which took a really long time, and I wanted to get really soft, beautiful, springy merino wool, which we've sourced out of Bendigo in Victoria. And we've gone about then creating different designs. So we have 5 different blankets in the range, with others in development. And this is really exquisite. This is our feather and fan christening blanket. It gives the illusion of alternating waves, and it's just so gorgeous. Even though it's very light and delicate, it still has the same level of warmth, and like all of our other blankets, are completely machine washable.
I think it's a good way of resting, but still feeling as though you're
being productive.
Well, you're doing something, yes.
Crucial to the business model is a dedicated team of knitters who design and produce the blankets.
It's beyond creating a beautiful product. It's about really talented women coming together who have a vested interest in the wool business. All of us are either married to farmers or have been farmers, and it's looking at creating something and bringing women together in the bush, which is a really important thing.
Vanessa Bell drew on her experience as a high fashion model, working for some of the biggest brands in Europe before her marriage and motherhood.
I think I was incredibly fortunate to work with clients such as Giorgio Armani and Comme des Garçons and Christian Dior. For me, it helped me actually define the gap in the market to look for something that was about quality. So being surrounded by wonderful fabrics and construction and how those fabrics came together on the runway, that absolutely gave me an insight into what I wanted to be able to create.
She's been running the business from her laptop and selling online since the beginning of this year.
I think being online is really good. It gives us an opportunity, obviously, to be on a worldwide platform. So, we have blankets now in London and in Switzerland, so it gives us an opportunity to be able to sell beyond Australia. I think it's one of those things that it can also be organic, so conversations need to be not just around one specific online platform. So obviously venturing out into things like Instagram and Facebook. My experience is that people get distracted in the digital space, so what we're trying to do is quite clear, and to make sure that people can reach us easily.
The next step will be to convince Philip Bell to buy back into merino sheep. He sold his flock when prices were poor and is now producing prime lambs for the meat trade. A merino flock will be an important part of the Sarah Jane Bond story.
I've got a bit of a passion for merino sheep, but we'd like to see more return, and it looks as though that's happening. And now Vanessa's got involved in the blankets, and it's sort of, I think we will put, maybe a small mob back and just see how it goes from there.
Nothing would make my heart sing more than being able to produce baby blankets from wool that we've produced. So it's absolutely a possibility moving forward.
At Gostwick, there may be 185 years and 5 generations of history that make up the story. But Philip Attard says the market is demanding much more.
It's absolutely critical, especially these days, that you show that everything you're doing is meeting what your consumer expectations are. It's not just us, but all the other superfine wool growers that have got this fantastic product that can go next to skin and be super comfortable. We need to show them that we have really world-class product and then have it in garments so that they can use them and enjoy them.